What is up, guys? Welcome to the first crypto channel, the most savage and degenerate crypto channel out there. My name is Khaos Kris, and I'll be your host today. Before I hop into this video, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so I keep you guys updated with the latest, greatest news and information within the space. With that being said, let's hop right in this video. As always, we got another banger of a live stream for all you guys today. Today, we are going to be talking about all things pDAI, and we're going to hop into this weird connection between Beetroot, Blockbin, and some other companies that I've been personally researching myself. Please keep in mind, most of this research on the pDAI pegging is by the team with Holonomics, 9 Iron Capital, and the whole caboodle. So shout out to them. I'm just here reporting the information and just conveying it to you guys in a way that's easy to understand. And so I'm really excited about this live stream today because today we're going to get into so much stuff, get into a little bit more of this mysterious conspiracy behind the pDAI token. And there's also new revelation behind one of Richard Heart's tweets that nobody's talking about that I am going to dive in today on this live stream. So before we get into the meat and the cheese of all of this, let's take a little look-a-rooski of what's going on with Bitcoin right now. So there's a lot of hype. Bitcoin was supposed to go up, and then finally it basically broke this lower support line that I was drawing in. And essentially now we're consolidating at a level right around 26,210. A lot of the speculation behind it was due to the fact that Elon Musk and Tesla were saying that they sold a bunch of Bitcoin. Everybody freaked out, crashed the Bitcoin market. Well, not really crashed, it just went down by just a little bit. And now we're trading back at this 26,000 level. This was actually expected. This type of crash is going down. To be quite frankly honest with you, based on what we're seeing from past numbers, hold on, let me see if I can get this up here. If we get down to the 24,884 level, there's a good chance that this actually might go down a little bit lower. But if we maintain trading sideways for this, then there's a good chance that we could also see another leg up. So there's a lot going on. Overall, in the short term, I'm not bullish on Bitcoin. But once we get closer to the Bitcoin halving, this is going to become more prevalent. Now, moving on to crypto bubbles. Still lots and lots of blood in the street. Our beloved Hex is still trading down. Well, it's mostly sideways, but Hex on Ethereum's not looking too hot right now. XLM not too well. Sui. So Sui's an interesting one because they're having a massive token unlock coming right around the corner, and so a lot of people are speculating that this could cause the price to crash, and I mean a lot, which actually makes me bullish because typically when one group of people say one thing, it's a mass, the other thing usually happens. So definitely something to look at. Phantom at negative 1.3%, and pretty much nothing's really doing well. I don't even know what this protocol is, but we're not going to get into that. Now, moving to the top 200, what's popping? So, Pulsechain sitting at about 0.000425. I guess it's getting bumped out of the top 100s in the top 200 now. I don't see PulseX up here, so it's probably a little bit lower than that. I keep seeing these bot tokens. I have no idea what they are. I have yet to look into it. So overall, nothing really new, just a lot of blood in the streets. And then, oh man, the bone token. So if you guys don't know, Shabarum had a massive bridge hack, and apparently there was like an insider behind it. And so this was actually going to be the primary gas token behind this new layer 2 scaling solution. The downside of it is now that there's this massive hack, a lot of speculation that Shiba Inu might not do well or whatnot. And so that's part of the reason why Bone hasn't done well in the past. So definitely really cool stuff. So switch over to primary screen. I know you guys want to get a pDAI, so I'll just hustle it up. Mark, you should just scream the word yes in the video. Yeah, absolutely. Will pDAI reach a penny on Pulsechain? Yes. Dan, nice to get you live. Love your content. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Damien's in the chat. Let's go. Pulling up to show the homie support. Shout out to Damien, dude. I absolutely love this dude, guy. Always great to have you on the live stream, man. I get so excited when you hop on, man. Damien's in the chat. I need to get a t-shirt that says that. Damien's in the chat or something. That would be so great for a merch store. So let's just move on to the meat and the cheese and what we're really looking at. So most of you guys know I've been in this pDAI pegging thing for a while. I cover Pulsechain, I cover Zen. I cover everything. I'm not a maxi. I'm just some idiot that likes to look at different projects and just talk about it. Now, there has been a new revelation behind the pDAI pegging theory. And believe it or not, I was actually thinking about, start covering something new. But because of this revelation, this is so big for the the Pegening Theory. And shout out to 900 Capital and Hotonomics. The team has been doing so much work to basically write this story, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. So the first thing I want to start out with, Richard just put out a tweet, and it's pretty big. It's not talking about pDAI or whatever, but it's talking about Hex. And so I'm going to show you my screen share. He said, a new front end to run Hex code has been spotted at hexcrypto.com. It appears to support Wallet Connect 2.0. And essentially you can't comment or whatnot. That's it. It's just a new website talking about Hex. Now you might be asking yourself, why is this important regarding pDAI? Well, I'll tell you why it's important. Because he has yet to say anything about this narrative. The SEC is suing him for Pulsechain, Hex, and sacrifice funds. And most people speculated on his Twitter page he wasn't going to say anything. That was it. Yada. Done. Dunzo. But the thing is, he has yet to say anything about pDAI because it suggests that there's a good chance that if he were to be involved, he doesn't want to jump into it. He wants to sell this idea of mystery. He wants people to continue to look into it so it can grow community behind it. And so this is like a piece of information. Keep in mind, this is speculation. I don't know how this is going to end. We're all degenerates at heart, and I just love talking about this stuff, and you guys love this type of content. But ultimately, because he hasn't put out a tweet about this and said a single word, this just increases the support for this narrative that's coming out. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, so how's this relevant to pDAI? You know, even if he doesn't say anything, he still couldn't be a part of it. That's very true. The one other piece of information I want to show you guys is a past tweet he did on Wrap Bitcoin. So I want to bring up this tweet. So on May 22nd, Richard Heart says, guys, this is not the Wrap Bitcoin from Ethereum pair. This is the free PRC20 Bitcoin. Make sure to check your contract address. And then he comes down here and he says, here's the contract address for your Bitcoin for the copy pair, Ethereum pair, yada, yada, yada. And you just go through and it shows you the addresses and whatnot. Now, compared to his past actions and looking at this specific tweet, basically what I'm trying to get across is if there's something sketchy about DAI and what's going on, he would say something about it. He said something about the Wrap Bitcoin pair because people were buying it because they thought it was actually Bitcoin on Pulsechain. And this would be the same exact case for DAI on Pulsechain. If a bunch of people were buying DAI and the price were going up, he would come out and say, hey, this is a copied version of DAI. Please be careful. This is the real contract. He would spell it out because he sees disaster. If you look at this tweet, which I'm going to bring out one more time, the reason why he tweeted this was this could have been a massive disaster to really wreck people. That is why he put this tweet out. And so the point I'm trying to get across is this tweet, since he's been silent, has been absolutely huge for the pDAI Pegening theory, if you still believe it or whatnot. And so that is the main part of this I really want to get across and bring to your guys' attention. So really, really great stuff. Now, moving on to the next thing. This is actually some old news before we get into the big kahuna, the big calzone, the thing that you guys are probably here for. I hear a lot of people saying that pDAI has an inflation issue. There's a bug. It can get minted out of thin air, yada, yada, yada. If you look at the maker contract, you can just mint 1 million of them and just completely collapse the price. Now, shout out to 900 Capital, my boy. He already debunked this on August 14th, but I think it would be extremely beneficial if I just bring up the tweet and all the evidence. So, coming here, I just keeping why. If it's possible, hasn't someone minted an unlimited amount of pDAI? The reason is they can't. The contract was changed in early July, and I believe 7 figures was paid to this. pDAI is Pulsechain's native stable coin, stable, resume peg, yada, yada. So if you come down into his little tweet, I'm not going to go through everything. He goes in and says, when you look through the maker holders, I noticed the second largest owner interacted with a smart contract on Pulsechain right around July 8th, and you can go on debank down here. And when you scroll down here, essentially one of the largest holders sent a transaction, and I believe it was with the maker token, over to a MakerDAO contract address. And basically this contract address was used to fix the inflation bug behind pDAI all after the Pulsechain was launched. And so essentially more tokens cannot be minted. Now keep in mind, you can still take Wrap Bitcoin and use that to mint the new DAI token. but also the governance protocol for pDAI completely changed. And so if you guys want to go and check out this thread, come over to pDAI Maxi or 900 Capital, because he goes through and talks about how this is not inflationary more. And part of the reason why this is moving away from the MakerDAO contract is because a new system has to be set up. Since it's being copied over, the Oracle is going to be off, the software is going to be off, a majority of the token assets that are going to be used as collateral for the DAI token is going to be Ethereum. We don't have, well, we have wrapped Ethereum coming over, but it's not a copied version of Ethereum. So at the start, the entire MakerDAO process is going to be put at halt because the software code's only going to recognize Ethereum and wrap staked Ethereum, which that was also covered over. And so as things start to transition over, essentially what this contract address was trying to do is basically trying to cut ties with the MakerDAO token and move on, and also control the inflation supply coming out. Keep in mind, you can still get wrap Bitcoin, and you can also mint it based off the peg arbitrage opportunity with USDC. If DAI goes up and goes up in price, you can actually go in, interact with the contract, and mint a bunch of DAI in comparison to USDC. So let's say USDC is at a penny and DAI is at 2 pennies. And let's say you buy 1 DAI so let's say if DAI is at 2 pennies and you go into the contract address, what you can do is you can go and mint a bunch so that the DAI peg can be brought down to the USDC peg. And so essentially that's how the arbitrage works. And USDC and DAI work in a cohesive unit to basically stabilize each other's ecosystems. This is what we see on the Ethereum blockchain, Binance Smart Chain, any other major blockchain. They do this as a way to stabilize the stablecoin protocols. And this is part of the reason why the stablecoin protocols have been working for this long. Now, moving on to the meat and the cheese, the main thing that we need to talk about, and this is absolutely huge, and 900 Capital did the research, broke it out. Beetroots covered it. Hodlnomics covered it. It absolutely went viral. But essentially, right around the same time, we saw pDAI basically come into the market. We saw Atropa come up. We saw all these very unknown secretive tokens. And we also saw that payment sent out to the MakerDAO contract to fix the inflation bug. We also saw that basically the Lido DAO contract was also interacted at the same time as the MakerDAO contract. And basically what happened was the contract from MakerDAO, the vaults, everything was forwarded to the Lido DAO contract, making Lido DAO the governance token of the entire DAI ecosystem. And how this is going to function is you have the Lido token as the governance token, and now you have the I believe it was the Ether, it was the wrapped staked Ether. Yeah, it's wrapped staked Ether that's going to be used as collateral behind the DAI token. And so I'm going to get into this and explain a little bit more just so it makes more sense. So coming over here to 900 Capital's Twitter, shout out 900 Capital. Basically, blockchains don't lie. pDAI was destined to be Pulsechain's native token. Now, starting off with the thread, if you look at the Maker vaults, at launch, 20 of these vaults had none of the vaults had assets in them at launch, which means basically if you had a MakerDAO vault on Pulsechain, you weren't airdropped the PRC20 token equivalent. This was also the same for centralized exchange wallets, big corporations, the whole 9 yards. So if you were Binance Smart Chain, you didn't receive any of the PRC20 token airdrops. Those only went to single wallet holders. If you come over to DBank, you can see everything out there. And so one of the most curious parts about this entire story is that the last wallet interaction was about 9 months ago. And essentially what was implemented was a Maker, it was a forwarding address function from the MakerDAO contract. And so basically all the vaults forward their liquid staked Ether 2.0 102 days ago to this new address on the Lido DAO. And so essentially the main function behind the liquid staked Ether is to be basically converted 1-to-1 back into the Pulsechain and reinvested. And so everyone always talks about how is this thing going to be added as collateral. Well, the idea is with collateral, we have to somehow back it up to the Pulsechain ecosystem. And with what we have with Lido DAO, they have a liquid staked ether, ecosystem that can be easily updated and adjusted through the DAO so that you can swap your pulse for staked ether, and the staked ether can be used to add value behind the DAI token. And so this is like the next step in this little mystery. So why is this relevant? How do we know this is real? What is going on? Why is this such a big thing? How does this all come together? Well, basically we know that the MakerDAO token address was interacted with on May 11th, but also in addition, the Lido DAO contract address was also interacted with on May 11th as well, right before the Pulsechain launch. There's two contracts. There's two software coding that was accessed right before the launch of Pulsechain, and this was both of them. And so you can see all the evidence coming down here. And the person that actually set this up, I believe it was I think he was the head of Aragon or something. So Aragon's like the massive server that basically runs the Pulsechain, and he has like a Twitter. He has a Twitter, and he was the one who basically set this up essentially in this little murder mystery. And so just coming down here, essentially right before the Pulsechain launch, Lido was being set up to be the major governance protocol. So you might be asking yourself, why is this important? Why do we care so much about this governance protocol? Well, in order to have a truly decentralized stablecoin, a DAO is going to be your main form of governmental entity to make sure to ensure that the stablecoin continues to function in a proper way that benefits the community, cannot be hacked or manipulated by outside forces. It cannot be controlled by massive whales. And so basically what's happening right now is you're slowly starting to see the slow build out of the entire ecosystem behind the MakerDAO contract. And so the one big downside of the DAI token is based solely on the fact that there's not collateral to add value to this token. We're trying to figure out a way, well, not really trying to figure out, it's probably been figured out, but we're trying to figure out what is the way to control the supply and circulation of the DAI token. How do we mint more DAI tokens? How do we make sure that it can be swapped one-to-one between another stablecoin like USDC? How can we prevent it from having massive slippage, and how can it maintain peg? These are all questions the people need answers to. But with the Lido contract, this gets us one step closer to solving this murder mystery. So coming in here, some things that I want to talk about that I also took notes on through my research is, so the Maker Vaults didn't launch with anything like we just talked about. Wallets minting staked ETH to balance DAI and Atropa. So there's a bunch of wallets that basically own a bunch of these Lido tokens. And what they're doing is they're minting this staked ETH out of the Lido contract. And essentially how the Lido contract works is, what is liquid staking? And so this actually might be an extremely good point that I want to get into before I get into this next point. So essentially liquid staking is where you can take your Ethereum token, put into a staking address, and you receive a token that has the same value as your Ethereum token, plus the APR that you're supposed to make from staking it. And so essentially, instead of having your tokens being locked up, you take that token and you can use it as spending power across the ecosystem. And so let's say you want to go back and get your staked Ether. You can take that token, swap it back for your Ethereum tokens, and basically get it back. So you basically get the best of both worlds, where you can stake your Ethereum token while also using that spending power to degen on and also get into other coins or whatever. And so part of the reason why this is so important is because what's happening with this wrapped staked Ether is it's actually being used to possibly balance the Atropa, the down, and the DAI liquidity pools. We started to see massive price fluctuations on Atropa, same with TSFI, which is speculated to be the T-share finance token, which I'm not really sure if that's true. But one of the biggest things of confusion is when we see DAI go down, sometimes these tokens go up, and there's a bot controlling the basically the price action. Sometimes you see tokens added, sometimes you see tokens removed, sometimes you see the price go up, sometimes you see the price go down. We're going to get a little bit more into the down token, but one thing we saw with the down token is there was a massive amount of sales behind this specific token, and for some reason the price made stabilize throughout this process. And some people believe this has a little bit to do with what we see with the staked ether. So whoever controls, and my next point, whoever controls the Lido governance protocol with the amount of tokens they have, they also control the Atropa liquidity pools. And I've been beating this dead horse with a stick, but essentially all the pools within the ecosystem are being controlled by this Lido DAO governance situation of whoever owns the Atropa wallet, so to speak. Now, getting into it, the Lido vaults is minting funds and liquidity pools. We cover that. Whoever's in control of the pairs is minting more liquidity pairs. Got that? Cool. So I think we covered everything we need to in this murder mystery. So now just kind of getting into how this might play out going on into the future before I move on to other stuff and other news behind this ecosystem. Pay very special attention to the Lido governance token and the liquid wrapped staked ether token on the Pulse chain, because as we continue to see this ecosystem build out, these tokens could absolutely be huge plays going on to the future. The minute any news comes out that this has to do with Richard Heart or a different entity, I definitely expect that token price to absolutely freaking explode. So really good stuff. So before I get into hodlonomics theories, which is a pretty funny thing, I want to check to see if we got anything else in the live stream. Whoa, we got a lot going on here. Squash, I really believe it will be pegged to $1. Okay, cool. House, the pDAI chart is following a pattern of stability and regression testing. It's like you can almost see the code in the chart. It stops and tests for stability at every 10x and then moves on. Squash, FOMO marketing is the best marketing, bringing new people to Pulsechain. RH is good at sales. He knows this stuff. I personally think he is behind this. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, keep in mind, this is all speculation, Squash, and I do agree, but you never know. We might get a curveball. Something might come up in the future. So the best thing I would always advise is don't ever marry your opinions. Keep your mind open. Keep your mind flexible. But if this is Richard Heart, number one, he's a genius. And number two, this is going to make Pulsechain legendary. Vibra Finance, what's up, brother? Shout out to you. It's good to see you. Mark, shout out to you. Great to see you. Globechar, you on Friend Tech yet? No. I'm kind of sketched up about Friend Tech. I saw like everyone's wallets and their profiles are being matched up on Twitter. It's kind of freaked me out a little bit. Jonathan, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Jessica, amazing stream. Awesome to always have you in here, Jessica. Damon, man, at this point, could be a good play to drop a quick $50 in pDAI Atropa and forget until the next bull run. Yeah, Damien, look, here's the deal. Atropa, DAI, and TSFI and down are all going to be gambles. This is a gamble. This is high-risk speculation and play. Same with Lido, same with staked ether. All of them are play. There's nothing wrong with throwing in $10, $20 in and just seeing what happens. But I'm telling you, do not throw in your whole house. Do not take a mortgage out. Like, who's that dude on Bitcoin? I think it was like Michael Saylor or whatnot. But I would not bet the entire bag on this entire situation. So cool. Mark, can you talk about the 2 token on PulseX version 2? So for the 2 token on PulseX, I'm not really sure what that is. I saw that was like within the entire ecosystem, but ultimately, there's not much information. I would not suggest interacting with that token because we don't know what it is, and that's extremely high risk. So please be careful when you look at that infograph because there might be something out there that that might be bad. Damon, sorry, fan subscriptions. This takes priority. Oh man, Damien, I love you, man. That's awesome. And then crypto. TSFI pumping. Cool. All right. Now, let's just keep it moving because I want to get into the end of this because we're going to be talking about some really cool stuff. Now, the next thing, the homie hodlonomics has a theory that's actually very interesting, and I want to jump into it real quick. So I'm going to do a little screen share. So I have a loose theory on what is playing out. According to this post from 9 Iron Capital, we are seeing that staked ether, that was the address, STETH. I don't know why I forgot it. Minting being used as collateral to input into Atropa LPs. We may be seeing something where it needs to be staked and backed in order to advance to higher levels. And so what he's talking about with that first part is essentially if we come over here to um, deck screener. Basically, if you look in here, we've been trading sideways for about, gosh, I would say about a week now. Well, actually 4 days. I'm sorry. And so it's basically hitting these levels up here. And as you guys can see here, this is a really great point. We're sitting at about a tenth of a penny right here. So 0.0001. And so, hold on, let me close something right now. So we're sitting at 0.0001 right now. And so in order to hit to that next level, the bot basically turns on and we see this exponential run up and then that leveling off. Now, what Holonomics is saying is basically we're stuck at this level and there's a good chance that we're waiting for something big to happen within this new information within the Lido governance ecosystem. Now, in past, we have seen 2 periods. The first time was the SemiFud pDAI chart and basically consolidated right back to 0.001 for 3 to 4 days before breaking out. Took 5 days to reach back to the top. The next time was after the DC FUD, exactly 10x higher at 0.001. The chart did nearly the exact same consolidation pattern. Bots kicked in heavy around this area. Buy/sells didn't affect the charts as much. Again, this theory, we are on day 3 of the DC FUD. It was right around this time when Semi FUD consolidation period ended and the bots kicked in or deactivated, allowing us to move to the next level. This could be a random anomaly, or maybe this has something to do with staked ether. So what Holonomics is saying is that basically we're sitting at 0.001 and then we move up to the 3 zeros and then a 1 and then 2 zeros and then 1. And then the next big leg up that we are going to see is probably going to be a penny. And so basically the idea is right now staked ether is being minted, and this is going to be used as collateral to back the DAI token. As of right now, a lot of staked ether is being minted, and we have a lot of Ethereum being bridged into the Pulsechain. Now, now the real question is, how do these 2 things lead to the next leg up in the DAI pegging theory? We don't know, and that's what we're trying to research, and that's what the whole team over the pDAI crew is trying to research. So right now, those are the big questions, and if you look at the chart anomalies, most of the moving isn't from people buying and selling this token. It's from a bot. A bot is buying and selling this token. It's interacting with Atropa, TSFI, and then all these other tokens. And now it's interacting with liquid staked ether, or staked ether. I'll say staked ether. And so as to how we reach that level, maybe there's some evidence behind staked ether we need to look at. And in my opinion, what I think is happening right now, staked ether has a very low supply. And what's slowly going on is it's being minted out. And I think it's waiting for the supply of staked ether to increase. And as the supply of staked ether increase and we get more interest behind this token, more people will start buying up, more hype will come behind it. And once that's out there, then it's going to push up to the next level. So overall, right now, we're in a consolidation period. We're going to be trading at, here, let me show my screen share, at that 0.001 mark. And then pretty soon, probably maybe next week or the week after that, we're going to see this go up to a penny. And then at a penny, we're going to see a lot of people start jumping in and buying the crap out of this token. So definitely, keep your eyes on this, because ultimately it's going to be a very interesting period of time. Now, moving on to the next thing. So the next piece of information, we got to talk about the down token. The down token is part of this entire ecosystem. It's paired up with Atropa, and somehow I don't know how it works with the Atropa token, but a really cool piece of information Holonomics posted. Okay, what is going on here with down? How does a token with 80% volume versus 20% buy volume go up in price by 30%? Whoever's behind Atropa ecosystem really understands liquidity and Hart's law on a very, very deep level. Now, there's 1 or 2 things you can get from this tweet. Number 1, Holonomics is trying to connect Hart's law to Richard Heart to what's going on. And then number 2, why is the down token going up with high sell volume? So in my opinion, something's happening with the token supply where basically maybe the pool of down to Atropa is decreased so that the price impact is less, and Atropa absorbs more of that price impact. And then it's the same thing with Atropa between down, because basically with that amount of sell pressure, the price is still going up. And there's a good chance that this down token might be used as some sort of DAI token stabilizer. And by just looking at the name, it just says down. And so keep in mind, we had to run a peg to $1 or a penny, or I think it should be pegged at $420.69. I think it's a really great number, just saying. But regardless, it's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. And there's the down token, and then there's also an up token. There's a good chance that maybe this down token gets activated to remove DAI from circulation when it starts going down, so that it stabilizes the DAI peg where it's at right now. And then the up token, when DAI goes above peg, the up token kicks in, buys some of those DAI tokens off the market, or adds some of it to the market so that adds some of it to the market so that it basically stabilizes the price all across the board. That's how I'm thinking about this up and down. It's basically two mechanisms that do like a, I guess you can kind of say like a ratio trading between the DAI token so that it can be stabilized. Because as of right now, how DAI token's set up, it's not going to work. But with this system, if it can be operating on a smart contract and going on to the future, this could be absolutely huge. And so also I want to say is, Richard Heart spent like 2 years trying to develop this ecosystem. He probably hired hundreds of engineers to work on this. This could have very well be something he created. And shout out to my boy Adam over at Vibra Finance, but he was saying that there's this sophisticated trading bot similar to what XRP's been using to maintain an XRP peg when you're trying to trade between like the US dollar and the Russian ruble. And he's saying that the technology behind that might be similar. Maybe Richard Heart has his hand in this. Maybe it's someone else, but it's so cool to jump into. Now, I want to show you guys the down token real quick. So as of right now, it's sitting at about 11% down. But at one point, we saw this at about like 27K sell volume and like 10K buy volume. And for some reason, this token has absolutely just been stabilized across the board. And it seems like it's trading at about 0.005. So it's basically half the price of the DAI token. Maybe that's part of the correlation between the down token. I would be very interested to see how this price performs. If the DAI token were to go to a penny, maybe this sucker would go to 0.005 and it's basically ratioed behind the DAI token. And keep in mind, I don't know what's going on. I'm just coming up with stuff and just thinking, there's going to be new information every single day behind this ecosystem. In addition, we still have Atropa. Atropa is trading strong at 0.005. Actually, that's kind of interesting. So Atropa is 10x higher than the down token. I don't know if he said that in his tweet. I can't remember. But I'm starting to notice that. We're starting to see a little bit of a similar chart pattern with that. I need to like put these charts on top of each other, because it seems like they're trading together and they're following that same exact chart pattern. And there's a good chance that if they trade together, basically buying the DAI token, you're buying Atropa and whatnot. So definitely really great stuff. Now, getting to the DAI token, as I've said, we're going to be trading right around that 0.001 mark. And essentially what I think this is like a test level for it. And once we get past a couple days, we'll start hitting into the up highs and hit into the uptrend. So really, really great stuff. I'm going to check some comments and then we'll get into the next part of this investigation of the Pegening Theory. So let's see what's popping. All right, Squash. Some woman sold her house to sack for Pulsechain. She would have been better off just DCAing in. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You should never sell your house. You should just put like money you can risk to afford to lose. Everything is energy. I'm in. Okay. House. Yeah, that all sounds about right. House, you should get into software development. You might like it. Yeah, man. I actually I created a coastal engineering model when I was in my master's, so I actually know Fortran and a little bit of Python, but I'm not smart enough to get to that level. But yeah, I appreciate that. Maybe you're a software developer and you can give us some information on what's going on. So cool. All right, now let's get into the next theory. This is something that I did research on. The rest was the other team. I was just covering it and just looking at it and just trying to connect dots and try to act all smart and stuff. But I found something very interesting. Beetroot and the gosh, what was it? Blockbin. So beetroot and Blockbin have been running this privacy bridge, and I actually knew about it. If you look at my past live stream, I saw it, but it took me up until a Twitter space with the whole pDAI crew to figure out the connection, and they actually verified on the Twitter space if you want to check it out. But I found something very interesting and a very interesting connection behind beetroot and all of this, because this privacy bridge was the reason why the Pegening Theory opened up. And if it turns out Richard Heart is behind this, there's a good chance that, you know, he might have known something about beetroot or Blockbin, or maybe he saw an opportunity and took advantage of it. But there's huge potential behind this ecosystem. So to start off, I want to do a screen share. So what I did was I actually went over and I typed in beetroot privacy hub, and I surfed the internet. I was trying to find everything I knew about this, because this anonymous bridge, I think there's something going on here that nobody's looking at, and I wanted to dive in. I couldn't find anything on Blockbin, but I found something on beetroot privacy hub that really caught my interest, and this is on trustpilot.com. So if you come down here to this description, it says, it gives you a little description of what is beetroot, what is the code, yada yada, its exchange or whatnot. Now, here's something that's really interesting. All powered by trusted and established platforms such as Blockbin, Let's Exchange, Li-Fi, and Loco Monero. And so that's what really sparked my creative juices when I saw this. There's a connection between beetroot and every single one of these companies. As to whether or not it's the same team, that's questionable, or maybe they're just using their open source software or DEX to do transactions on Pulsechain. But keep in mind, Pulsechain is kind of voodoo right now, so it's pretty interesting. So if you come over here to beetroot.world, we're gonna basically hop into that little section. So right here is the beetroot privacy hub, and it goes into everything. And I'll talk a little bit more about this project at the end. Now, what I went ahead and did was I came over here and I looked at Blockbin. And so we already know that Blockbin has a connection to beetroot. Basically, beetroot is setting up the bridge on the Pulsechain end for Blockbin, and they're maintaining that. So there's that connection. Now, the next connection. Let's Exchange. So Let's Exchange is a mixer exchange that not a lot of people know about, but they're actually expanding their software onto different blockchains. If I come over here to beetroot right here, and we go over to the Anon exchange, it's going to pop up this really cool UI. And the UI is going to be very similar to what we see over here at the Let's Exchange. And so basically, beetroot is using the technology from Let's Exchange as well. So they have some pretty big partners, especially when it comes to the anonymous side of this industry. Now, the one thing that really caught my interest, and this is where I basically went really, really deep in the research, Li-Fi. And so if you come over here to the website Li-Fi, essentially what Li-Fi is, it's a company that's trying to create a app or a center that goes all across and uses all blockchains. But what's really, really cool is what they're trying to do is they're trying to connect traditional finance to decentralized finance. And Li-Fi has this connection to beetroot, and they're doing a lot of work when it comes to like stable coins and cross digital assets between blockchains. And so when I dove into Li-Fi and I looked up the setup behind this company, I came across something very interesting. The people that are invested into Li-Fi and the people that are supporting it. So you have Coinbase and Circle, two big ones, and then you also have Andre Condre. And Andre, I don't know if he said his name right, but basically he's one of the founders of Yearn Finance, and he's also a co-founder of Phantom. He's an extremely big name, and he's also a part of this project. And the reason why this is extremely important is because the Coinbase and the Circle brand. Now, overall, it's hard to make a connection between all these companies together because it's done through privacy transactions, so we can't truly know. But the one thing I want to point out here is you have Circle. Circle is the #1 stable coin across the entire block. Actually, no, it's not the #1 stable coin. I think it might have been a DAI, but I'm not really sure. But Circle is one of the top stable coins within the cryptocurrency ecosystem. They want to have their stablecoin on every single blockchain. And part of the reason why they want their stablecoin on every single blockchain is it's been speculated that Circle is going to be the CBDC for the entire United States or maybe the entire world. All the big corporations are getting behind Circle. Any company that comes in, beefs with Circle, always gets hit with something. Sam Bankman-Fried, he was running a Ponzi scheme, and he should have gone to jail. But about a month before it came out that his entire company was a Ponzi scheme, he came out and said that FTX was going to set up a stablecoin. Gemini set up a stablecoin, gets sued later. Like, we're talking like 2 weeks later. On top of that, Binance sets up BUSD, gets attacked by them. The founder maker DAO disappears under unknown circumstances. So anything that comes to stablecoins, it is extremely dangerous. And so the fact that we're seeing Circle, Xenify connected to Blockbin, Beetroot, and all these other companies, it just asks me a question. Is Circle played into this theory, or is Circle trying to get into the Pulsechain blockchain through anonymous means? I don't really know. Now, one thing I'm really interesting I want to put up is that we have the Layer 0 launch coming right around the corner. And I think Layer 0 is going to be like the Amazon of blockchains. It's going to smash everything. And there's a good chance that it could compete against Bitcoin, because right around this time, if you look at the .com boom and you extrapolate it out to here, this is when we start to see the one blockchain to rule it all, the one blockchain that's going to win, the one company that wins it all, just like Amazon. And so Layer 0, Elixir introduced USDC, USDT, wrapped Ethereum, and wrapped Bitcoin to Phantom. And so basically Layer 0 right now is setting up these bridges all across all these blockchains. And the reason why this is important is because we're dealing with a stablecoin on Pulsechain. And the fact that we're dealing with the stablecoin on Pulsechain, there's funds moving through this privacy bridge onto the Pulsechain side. And no one knew about this privacy bridge. And if it is Richard Heart, he knew about this before anyone else, because if you look at the timeline, this contract was accessed on April 11th. And so because of this, there's a good chance that if it wasn't Richard Heart, maybe there was some connection to Circle, because Circle, regardless of how you feel about them, they're going to try to get onto the Pulsechain sooner or later. They're not going to be able to do it with the bridge over USDC and USDT. When you take that USDC through a bridge, you get a synthetic token on Pulsechain. The synthetic token is a different type of coding than the USDC coding. And so the USDC coding has admin keys, and you can set it up to like track all the stuff you do. Rags to Riches and me and Adam from Vibra Finance did a live stream, and the one thing he was talking about is it's almost impossible to have a stable coin without having admin keys to it. And so the big point I'm trying to get across is Circle is sooner or later going to try to get onto the Pulsechain. That synthetic asset with USDC can't be tracked, can't be traced, can't be changed on the Pulsechain because it's a different token. And so sooner or later, we're going to see these coins try to get over there. And in my opinion, if it turns out this was all Richard Heart, or this wasn't Richard Heart, this could very well be a play by Circle or a big corporation to get in under the nose and to offer a stablecoin on the Pulsechain side without doing a launch and getting a huge amount of coverage in the news. I don't really know. But the one thing I do know is whoever owns all those Lido tokens and the access to the Atropa pool, they're setting up this new ecosystem. And based on the current evidence, I think it's probably safe to say there's a 70% chance it's Richard Heart, and then there's also a 30% chance that this actually might be Circle or a big corporation coming in based off of this connection between Beetroot, Blockbin, Li-Fi, and letsexchange.io. But keep in mind, this is all speculation. I don't know. I just saw this. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to show you guys. Now, if it comes out that there's some sort of connection or this turns out to be extremely positive news, the one thing I want to say here on the Various Crypto channel, Beetroot and BBL are going to be hot commodities if this pegging comes to fruition. And the story comes out, it goes on BitBoys Crypto's channel, it goes on all the big mainstream YouTube channels, because the one thing they're going to be talking about is how those funds were transferred onto the Pulsechain. They're going to talk about Blockbin. They're going to talk about Beetroot. And the name of these projects are going to be all over the place to the point where there's a good chance they're going to do extremely well, in my opinion, not financial advice. So I'm going to do a quick screen share, and we'll take a little lookarooski at it. But right here, we got Beat. It's sitting at 0.001314. They launched and went up, and then it crashed, I would say, about... I'd say it crashed about 85%. So definitely a good buying opportunity. Full disclosure, I actually did jump into this token. I think it's really cool. We'll talk a little bit about the utility in a second, and then Blockbin. This was the other one we were talking about. It seems like this sucker already bottomed out and it's coming up. It's a $205,000 market cap, and it's also a first. It's on its first bull market cycle. So there's a good chance that if this story comes out and the privacy bridge turns out to be really, really great, I could definitely see BBL being a huge play. In addition, keep in mind, BBL, let me come over here. BBL is trying to create like a prepaid debit card from the blockchain to like a debit card. So that could also add utility, especially if Blockbin puts their BBL token as the primary token to be used to spend for crypto, and then start adding stuff on after that. So definitely really great stuff. Now let's take a look at Beetroot. So if you guys come over here to beetroot.world, it's an anonymous exchange. They have a lot of really great stuff. I have another live stream going into this, but you can come over here and connect your wallet and get into the privacy bridge and basically interact and use the privacy bridge. They're setting up something called well, they're setting up an Anon exchange, which I was just on right here. You can come over to the Anon exchange, connect your wallet, and then essentially what it does, it goes through a mixer. So if you want to swap for XMR to Pulsechain, you can go from one blockchain to another, but also the transaction cannot be traced as well. You have that option as well. And then they also have a fiat on-ramp, and they're also setting up something with the X1 blockchain. So it's definitely a really cool project. It definitely has a lot of potential. It's definitely a project you do not want to fade. And I'm going to continue to cover this periodically going on to the future. In addition, they're also sharing a video of me talking about Beetroot and the privacy bridge that was being implemented. And they shared it all over Twitter, and I think got like 10,000 views. So I know they're probably watching this live stream right now. So it's all good. It'd be really great to know if you guys have any sort of connection to all these other partners or whatnot. But I'm just really interested. I'll admit it is speculation. And it is kind of like a little bit of a stretch, but really, really curious. So cool, really cool stuff. Now let's see if we got any more questions. The boss man, do you have a price prediction for Beetroot? Yeah, here, I'll give you guys a price prediction. Let's see. All right, so let me do a screen share. Now, my price prediction for Beetroot, let's take a look at this. So we're sitting at $112,000. Now, the best way to think about the price prediction for Beetroot, if Beetroot's an exchange, there's a good chance that it's probably not going to be as good as Uniswap. I mean, not Uniswap, excuse me, PulseX when it comes to value. But it might be the sushi swap to the Uniswap. And so best way to really gauge this is if I come over here to sushi swap, let's just get a market cap of what it looks like. So I'm going to come over here, and keep in mind, I'm just trying to gauge what it was at the last bull market. So let's get this to load. I'm going to do a max chart, and let's see what the market cap was when it got to its all-time high. So, oh God, why? Okay, so the market cap got up to about $3 billion at its all-time high. Now, coming back here, $3 billion is probably going to be a little too much. But I could definitely see PulseX hitting like a $3 billion market cap. And I know when the Uniswap and the sushi differential, Uniswap was almost at 70K. So 70 divided by 3, that's about 30x. So I would probably say Beetroot could very well hit anywhere between I'll say anywhere between a 50 million to I would say $750 million market cap if they turn out to be the main privacy bridge to take all transactions into the Pulsechain, and they start picking up a majority of the swaps on the Pulsechain. That's my prediction. So what did I say, 50 million to 750 million dollar market cap. That's what I'm looking at. So that could be anywhere between, God, guys, I'm so bad at math right now. So I'm looking at, that could be anywhere between a 500 to like 1,000x, I would say. Yeah, about 500 to 1,000x is what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong. And please keep in mind, that's just me predicting. And I do firmly believe beetroot could very well be the sushi swap of the Pulsechain ecosystem if this story comes out. Because this story could tie it to the pDAI Pegening Theory, and it'll be in history, and it's going to be probably the ultimate marketing tool. So that's just my opinions on it. Cool. So isn't it illegal for Americans to use any mixer contract? I do not know. I do not know that. I do know that Tornado Cash came in, and they were shut down by the U.S. government. I might need to look into that. I think I don't know. That's a good question. I'll probably come back to you on that one. But man, I remember the whole Tornado Cash debacle. So we'll have to see. But you could use a VPN, but I don't suggest that. And if you can't use a mixer, do not use it. But ultimately, you can still use the bridge through beetroot as well. So Squash Bro, I think beetroot is very interesting. Yeah, I do agree, man. It's really, really cool. So beetroot and Blockbin are two sleeping giants, in my opinion, that have the potential to do absolutely astronomically well going on to the future. So cool, guys. Well, I think that's it. I just wanted to cover everything, the pDAI Pegening Theory. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love this murder mystery, but I might try to do a live stream that's different. I want to let all you guys know, Access to Live is going to be coming on the channel tomorrow. So if you guys want to come, we're going to talk to him a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Hex and Pulsechain. I'm really excited to talk about his thoughts on this whole pDAI theory. As most of you guys know, Access to Live is basically one of the OG hexagons that's been in the space for a very long time. And so to get his perception, his honest opinions about this, I think this is going to be very, very huge. And then later on in the week, I might cover some other stuff. I don't know. Maybe something comes out about pDAI. But ultimately, I'll let you guys know on Twitter and also down my Telegram my Telegram group here in the chat. So guys, that is it for the video. Last one. We got one more comment and before I wrap it up. Frenchie. Many haven't talked about meta cryptos. That's linked to many coin holders of Atropa. Ooh, that's a really good one. Okay. Many haven't talked about meta crypto. All right. Hey, shout out to Frenchie. I am going to write that down. So meta cryptos. I'm going to research that. That's a very good point. I had no idea about that. Blockbin isn't a mixer or adapt. You just send funds to a random wallet. Okay, cool. So I guess it's not a mixer. I think it's the swap that's the mixer. I haven't looked into it because I've been obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with trying to understand the pDAI Pegening Theory. So, all right, cool. So I'm gonna look at that and maybe do another live stream on it. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for the video. Before I wrap this video up, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so I keep you guys up to date with the latest, greatest news and information within the space. My name's Khaos Kris. I love every single one of you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.